Act 989, I hereby formally apply to assess the information on the following. 1. The petition and all supplying documents that were presented to remove the Electoral Commissioner and her deputies from office under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. 2. The response to the petition by the committee. And 3. Details of the decision of the Chief Justice's report. So these are the 3 strands. He's looking for the petition and all the source documents. He's looking for the response to the petition by the committee, and he's also looking for the report that the Chief Justice's efforts to establish a prima facie or otherwise, amounted to. He says, I'll be grateful if you can furnish me with a hard copy of all relevant documents. I'll be willing to take care of all necessary expenses associated with the cost of printing and other mandatory payments in time with RTI Information Act 989 as required under Section 18(1)(e) of Act 989. Kindly send your response to Dr. Ernest Henry Norgbey, 9th floor East, Job 600, Parliament House, Accra. Dr. Ernest Henry Norgbey, 9th floor East, Job 600, Parliament House, Accra. Counting on your cooperation. Yours sincerely, Ernest Henry Norgbey, PhD. And this carbon copy to the Judicial Secretary. So this is what is in the news now. And yesterday it was making the round on some editors platforms in this country, which means that today it's a topical conversation. But is the Chief Justice obliged to release these documents, knowing that the provisions of Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution point to a fact that these proceedings must be held in Camera Marina?
It brings me back to the conversation surrounding the removal of her leadership, Justice Iraba Saki-Tokon.
Right.
And there have been arguments, right? Perhaps Sixus will have the legal opinion, and so he wants to share that. There are those who make the argument that in the aftermath of the petition being settled, whether or not it moves on to the stage where a determination is made that there is a prima facie evidence and you're removed, or it is dismissed as we saw in this case, in the aftermath, the details of the petition and whatever correspondence was attached to it should be made public to the Ghanaian people so they can understand and appreciate what went on. That has been one of the schools of thought. The other have made the argument that the Constitution makes a provision for in-camera for a reason, and so it must continue to remain the same. I lean towards the fact that when the process is done, there should be official communication of
what transpired. With the details?
With the details and everything. In fact, we are still awaiting
Wouldn't it be more too graphic?
In relation to the removal of the Chief Justice, because from the removal of the Chief Justice, the process and everything, the committee's hearing and the minutes, blow-by-blow account has been shared by persons close to the proceedings.
Who appeared before including some who
appeared. And they shared
before.
it to dispel rumors and suggestions which came up in the aftermath of the conversations that were usaged, which evidence was led at the committee, whether or not the committee was being fair in terms of its dealings, was when some of the persons who were active players in the committee hearing made the details public. I believe that should have been made public. That way it settles the debate. Unless there's a national security concern in relation to the details being made public, because the RTI makes exemption for matters in relation to national security. Right. Unless something pertains to that, I don't see why, in this instance, the petition was dismissed. No prima facie evidence. I think there's one aspect where I think there's a correction, because this didn't move to the stage of a committee.
That's right.
And so there is no committee proceeding.
So the matter terminated because the Chief Justice was supposed to establish a prima facie, and then it would have necessitated the formation of the committee. But then the Chief Justice said, look, I don't find any questions that should be answered by these, and this was what the Chief Justice had to say. If you kindly
so
help
it says, while the allegations
His Lordship Justice Paul Bafuboni
raise serious constitutional and administrative questions, they do not on their face meet the threshold required for a prima facie determination of stated misbehavior or incompetence, warranting that a committee be set up to inquire into the petition. And so this dispels that bit of his request, which says that the proceedings of the committee be made public. There was no committee, and so there won't be details of it. Will be the petitions, the details of the letter from the CJ to the president, I suspect, or any other internal workings which may have gone into the arrival of the decision that there was no evidence to determine a prima facie case to warrant the formation or the setting up of a committee. I think that is where it will all end up, really, in terms of what details will be made available to Dr. Norgbey.
So this final part says the petition largely rests on conclusions of unlawfulness and bad faith without establishing at a preliminary level clear facts demonstrating intentional wrongdoing or a manifest inability to perform constitutional functions. So the Chief Justice, it continues, says even if the Commission's action or inactions are assumed to be erroneous, controversial, or suboptimal, such shortcomings do not automatically translate into stated misbehavior or incompetence within the constitutional sense. And Article 1433, therefore, there is no basis to activate the constitutional machinery for a full inquiry, and the petition fail at the prima facie stage. Accordingly, I find that no prima facie case has been established against the chairperson and deputy chairpersons of the Electoral Commission by the petitioner. This was the dictum of His Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Republic, Justice Paul Bafuboni, in dismissing the petition to suggest that on the face of it, there were conclusions that were made, but they were not grounded in facts, and based on that, he cannot move on to the committee state that you're talking about. But then, I remember that when this matter came up, there was a public uproar as to whether or not the Chief Justice was trying to protect the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the deputies, or the Chief Justice was trying to be politically correct. Those two schools of thought are out there. In fact, this request by Henry Norgbey, or Ernest Norgbey, Dr. Henry Herbert Norgbey, the MP for Ashaiman, was not in the public domain until yesterday. But if you look at the date, it was submitted on the 24th, received by the Chief Justice's office on the 25th. I want to believe that at this point, Mr. Norgbey has a response from the office of the Chief Justice and may not necessarily be satisfied with the response he got from the Chief Justice, which is why this has been thrown into the public domain. I'm just guessing. Because if you have followed what the modus operandi of the office of the Chief Justices of this Republic, and Justice Paul Bafuboni is not an exception, they are quick and swift to respond to things that are written to them, to just quickly, literally dispense it. And I want to believe that on this occasion, Mr. Norgbey has a response from the office of the Chief Justice, but maybe may not be satisfied, because when that the response from the Chief Justice came, not that relative to Mr. Norgbey, but the petition from the 7 people who had petitioned for the removal of the EC boss and the deputies, the public conversation was that we want the woman to go, and people mentioned Santo Kofi, Akpafu Lekpe, Lolobi. People mentioned the fact that there were some infractions, and they say, look, that is not even up to the Charlotte Osei's offense was not even up to this magnitude, but we made Charlotte Osei go. Stated misbehavior. And what was a stated misbehavior? It was related to procurement. So if we made Charlotte Osei go based on that, why won't we let Jean Mensah also go if the evidence is that she has done more than what it is? I mean, at some point in this country, we even declared elections that was beyond 100 percentage point. Many things. How many times was the 2020 election results declared?
I mean, there were
corrections along, and is that tantamount to stated misbehavior? There are conversations about the Electoral Commission boss roping in known party people to serve as commissioners of the Electoral Commission, and for an independent body that was going to run an election that is supposed to be apolitical and supposed to be the neutral referee. How do you have known party people on the Electoral Commission and try as people like Codeo and many other election watchers did? The Electoral Commission did not budge. They still went ahead to organize the 2024 elections with them. And all these things are conversations on the minds of people that are. So why couldn't the Chief Justice pinpoint any of this? Or is it that the petitions that were brought before the Chief Justice did not contain these things?
Right. On the matter of the and you said, I mean, you've laid bare a number of the arguments which has been raised, different groupings making different points as to why they did not agree with the decision arrived at by the Chief Justice. I am trying to get into the mind of the Chief Justice, and I haven't spoken to him or in any way or form. But on the matter of the politically exposed persons making their way to the fair arbiter, right, or the neutral arbiter of the position of electoral commissioners as deputy commissioners, I am minded to believe the CJ, if that were included in the petition. Right. I say a big if because I haven't seen the petitions, but it's one of the many things which have been mentioned. So in seeking to perhaps address that, if that were one of the bases, that will be easily shot down as a basis upon which the chairperson of the Electoral Commission should be removed. And I have very good reason to state that. Now, in the many battles in the Supreme Court between the NPP and the NDC involving Parliament over a number of things,
right,
during the tenure of Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono, Justice Gewu,
right,
was empaneled a number of times. And I recall in one such instance, Senior Counsel Fabio Sori advanced arguments to suggest there was a concern of bias against the person of Justice Gewu seated on the Supreme Court panel. The court took leave and returned with a decision which said that once the person went through parliamentary approval and had gone through the process and was seated on the bench as a justice of the Supreme Court, there cannot be a belief that because they have at one point in time served in a political position, it renders them incapable of being able to dispassionately advance the law or make arguments in relation to the law. I am tempted to believe that could be a basis to cure that concern if it were a part of the petition. Because the argument to be made that the office of the Electoral Commission is not about an individual. It is an office made up of groupings and individuals who are playing a role. No matter your political position, once you are appointed as a deputy commissioner or whatever, the expectation is that you must do the work and you must do it dispassionately. Which is why when we read the dictum, like you mentioned, of the CJ, he makes the argument that there are matters of stated or unlawfulness or certain concerns which are raised. And if Kunzo can show us that again, that part about the Chief Justice, because I want to read it to make the point clearly.
All right.
Not this. While the allegations raise serious constitutional and administrative questions, they do not on their face meet the threshold. And so there can be issues that will be raised. And for instance, you say that this is an obvious party person. Why are we allowing that person play the role of a neutral arbiter in an elections? The CJ says, yes, there are administrative concerns, but they do not meet the threshold constitutionally to say that this is stated misbehavior and incompetence, and so we are removing it. That's why this mission that Dr. Norgbey is on is important. Let us see the full details of all the petitions.
So that what?
And then we can argue vis-a-vis. The decision would have been made. But there are so many decisions which have been made by different courts, which years later, we have been proving that, has been proven that the court, when they took that decision then, was wrong.
It was wrong. Okay, let's go on a phone line now and speak with Ebenezer Havo. He's the president, Positive Transparency and Accountability Movement Africa, one of the 7 petitioners. Mr. Havo, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Thank you also. Thank you for hosting me today.
Great. Did you get a response relative to your petition to have the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the deputies removed from office after the decision was taken by the Chief Justice that there is no prima facie to progress to the committee level?
Well, first of all, let me use the opportunity to greet you and your listeners and your viewers on Facebook and Positive Transparency and Accountability Movement Africa across the country. Per your question, we haven't received any notice from the CG or a written letter concerning anything of that sort. We just read on the news that the 7 petitions, they didn't state hours also. They just said 7 petitions have been dismissed. The detail of the petition is unknown to ours. So we don't have anything legally to say we have any issue or we have any written from the CG regarding our petition, and the reason why it is has been dismissed based on the prima facie threshold.
Now, Ernest Norgbey, Member of Parliament for Ashaiman, has made a request to the Office of the Chief Justice asking for the source documents, asking for the proceedings, and then also asking for the reasoning behind coming to that conclusion of no prima facie. Are you in talks with Mr. Norgbey? How does that sound to you?
I think it's a good call as a legislator. It's a good call. We need to test our laws. We need to test our democracy. We need to strengthen it. So if a parliamentarian is seeking for such clarity from the CG, I think that's the best alternative. You know, we cannot move ourselves to the street demonstrating on this issue, but rather we should seek the relevant information that constitutes the dismissal. And based on that, we can also go back to the drawing table and repetition if necessary.
Hold the line for me, Mr. Havo. Let me go on to the other phone line and speak with the Honorable Dr. Henry Ernest Norgbey, who is Member of Parliament for the Ashaiman constituency in the Greater Accra region. Yes. Doc, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
Why do you want to dig up graves that have been buried and forgotten about?
Well, probably that's not you think that it has been buried and forgotten about. But that is me. It is my constitutional duty to seek for further clarification about something that I am not clear of. And don't also forget that majority of Ghanaians were up in arms when this matter popped up, especially when the CJ sent recommendation to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And most of us, especially Ghanaians, we were not privy to details of the petitions that have gone to the president before he transmitted it to the CJ. And as well as we are not privy to the recommendations that the CJ gave to His Excellency before the issue of the statement. And so this act is made as a member of parliament. I have that responsibility to make sure that we have clarity to this matter, and I can only do it by the rule of law, going through the Article 21 of the 1992 Constitution, and then the Section 18 of the Right to Information Act.
Now, are you paying attention, for example, to the fact that the proceedings as captured in Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution are supposed to be held in camera, and that asking for these documents may open a can of worms that hitherto should have been kept away from the prying eyes of the public?
Well, I'm not very sure about this because there are certain classified information under the RTI that are not supposed to be released to, a third party. I'm not sure whether this one falls within that category. Not at all. This is an information, a petition that was sent to the president, a petition that was written by a group of people that was sent to the president. And this that is made. If these people were that kind of people who might have want to be leaking every information, they would have put the petition in the public domain already. So it's a public document. Because it's a public matter to be dealt with. So I don't think it falls within that category of classified document that releasing it may be a difficult task. Not at all.
You wrote to the Office of the Chief Justice on the 24th of February 2026. Per the stamp from the Office of the Chief Justice, the letter from your office was received on the 25th of February 2026.
Yeah.
Do you have a response from the Office of the Chief Justice as we speak now?
Not yet, but we are still waiting for the response. I think we have a number of days. I just forgot. Constitutionally or within the law, within the RTI law, the office has a specific number of days to respond. If that does not happen, then I have to write a reminder to the Chief Justice.
So if I get a sense, you are bent on just understanding what happened, or are you bent on getting the Electoral Commissioner and her chairperson of the Electoral Commission and her deputies out of office? What are you aiming at?
Well, not that I meant of getting them out of office. We are practicing democracy, and a group of people sent a petition to the president based on certain anomalies from that particular office, that is the EC office. We all want to know exactly what the petitioner sent, and then what the CJ also, the decision of the CJ recommendation to the president. Don't also forget that some few years back in 2020, I personally took the Electoral Commission to court based on procurement irregularities. That is the underlining word, procurement irregularities. And these procurement irregularities went to the core of the law to the extent that the High Court ruled in my favor when it came to that particular. So when I heard of these petitions going on, I'm not privy to the details of the petition to know whether those provisions or those anomalies, those irregularities were captured in this particular one.
Right.
So if you are a student and you are going to write exam, you need to get the previous papers, get the previous examiner's report, and know better how to position yourself in that particular examination.
I see. Mr. Havell, let me bring you into the conversation. Now your petition has been dispensed. The matter has terminated because the Chief Justice says he could find no prima facie, so we couldn't move to the committee level. Are you going to submit another petition, given that what you were looking for was not achieved?
Let me say the both steps Honorable have taken. We commend Honorable for that step because we are strengthening our democracy. The rule of law must work, and equity and fairness must be also play game here. So, first, Honorable have requested for additional information for clarity into the dismissal. We wait for the response from the CJ, and the necessary actions will be taken. If we repetition, because you cannot tell me that some people have been with that MP for 4 years, and that one you can't establish a farmer's capacity out of it. You cannot tell me the EC line up as during COVID-19. All the total population of Ghana has to go and queue and register, and meanwhile we have an existing voter register. And you said there's no prima facie case established on that basis.
So that's why I'm asking you, are you going to file another petition?
We are waiting. We are studying the dynamics, and probably we may do that.
Mr. Norgbey, Doc, let me come back to you and ask you. So, if you don't get the response in record time, you say you are going to write a reminder. And if that fails, what will happen next?
Well, definitely I will write a reminder. If I don't get the report or the response at the record time, I'll still write a reminder. And if the reminder fails, it's likely I will put in my personal petition based on available documents that I have, available information that I have. And I will once again liaise with these petitioners. If that fails, actually, if this response fails, I will liaise with these petitioners. I'm sure they will make available their petition to me, and then we'll take it up from there based on the available documents with me and the information with me concerning the electoral commissioner and her deputies. I think we can put something together in repetition.
For the curious mind, they want to find out what you really intend to do with these documents. Do you want to publish them? Because this letter to the Chief Justice was supposed to be a request in private, but now it's making the rounds in the media. And there are those who say, well, you may also go ahead and publish the response you get from the Office of the Chief Justice. Is that what you are intending to do, sir?
Well, that's not my intention. When we get there, we'll cross it. But let me also state categorically that this document was not published by me. I also had a call from your office yesterday concerning this particular document. Wherever it's coming from, I cannot tell, but that is me. It is my insignia on the document, so I will not deny it. I have to admit it. But the publication cannot be equated to my person or my office. And so when we get to that bridge, we shall cross whether we're supposed to publish it or not. But I'm not sure it has to be published. You just have to, for your office to do the needful and know what exactly to do in the near future based on this electoral commissioner and then the deputies.
Well, we see Dr. Ernest Norgbey, MP for Ashaiman constituency. If all things go the way you are hoping for, you get the documents, you read them, and you are not satisfied with the conclusions that were made by the learned Chief Justice, will we see Honorable Ernest Norgbey file a petition, a separate petition for the removal of the Electoral Commissioner and the deputies?
So I said something probably you didn't pay attention to.
Say, repeat that for me.
When a student is going to write examination, he has to get the past question, look at the marking scheme of that past question, and prepare towards writing the next the next examination. I think that suffices.
I don't understand.
Yes. So if you are a student and you are preparing yourself to go and write examination,
right?
You are preparing yourself to go and write examination.
Right.
You look at the previous, the past questions, get the past marking scheme.
Right.
I will prepare you
right.
to go and write the exam in the future.
So that means that
Yeah.
you are going for these documents to understand, and then it will help you to compose your own petition. Is that correct?
Because all of us do not understand why the petitions were dismissed. We did not understand exactly the reasons for which the prima facie was not determined for the onward transmission to the committee to determine the fate of these people. And so you need to know what went wrong before, if you are putting in another application,
Right.
you know how to adjust yourself to it. And don't also forget that I just told you that I have a lot of procurement irregularities at my disposal.
Right.
But unfortunately, I was of the view that all these petitions that were sent to the president for onward transmission to the CJ
Right.
would have done something that I was expecting to do for a very long time. So if that is me, we shall take it up from there. As I said, I will liaise with these petitioners,
Right.
then we'll see what to do.
Mr. Hava, let me come to you, and Doc, please hold on for me. So now we are trying to learn what was in the petition. In your specific case, what were the key points in your petition to the president, which was forwarded to the Chief Justice?
First of all, we have mismanagement of funds, and it's good details. It stated procurement of DVDs during that era where we have existing machines who could take care of the process, but she went ahead with a team to procure another one, which we thought is it cost the country a lot. We could maintain an old one. We also have an issue of I mentioned earlier on that during COVID we have to queue and go and register for a new voter register, which the existing one could perform the function in which she wants to do. But she ignored all the calls from even the political parties, the civil society organization, and other group of people to go ahead and throw the register away, write a new one. So we have a lot of them. We share the petition with you and Honorable as well, so that you can have a detail of it, please.
So it's obvious that you were disappointed when a prima facie couldn't be established, even though, in your opinion, you had concrete evidence to nail the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the deputies, because the Chief Justice said these are conclusions that are not based in facts.
We respect the decision of the CJ, and we disagree with the ruling as well. So, as I said earlier on, we study the dynamics, and if possible, we liaise with Honorable as well and get a concrete petition for their removal. This one is not political.
So you are getting ready to petition again. Is that what I hear you say?
Yes, I said it earlier on that we have to. It's a must. We have to. We want the right thing to be done. We are not political wish hunting anybody. You are a head of an institution. We expect that you account for your stewardship. 2020 presidential results were announced or declared 5 consecutive times, and as I speak now, we don't know the actual result in which the former president Nana Akufo-Addo have been declared with. We can't speak to that fact because the results have been changed for 5 times. So if the CJ said he hadn't have any concrete evidence on that basis, we will come back strongly to petition and see the outcome. As I said earlier, we are not political wish hunting anybody. We want the rule of law to work. We want fairness to work. We want public office holders to respect the law and respect accountability and their stewardship to the good people of Ghana.
You said that you want the right thing to be done. What is the right thing? Getting the 3 persons away from the Electoral Commission, is that what you consider the right thing?
Politically, they are biased. Politically, they are biased because We can't have PESCON, petition at the head of the EC affair, taking decisions to favor one political party. We cannot have, and we have the reason why the deputy, Dr. Bosmasari, he said in one of your sister stations that one of the political parties is a threat to our democracy, and a referee could boldly speak on that. On that manner, we see it's not fair. It's not fair. So they are not even qualified to be there. Let me put it that way.
Mr. Hava, I want to thank you very much indeed for your time. He's the president of the Positive Transparency and Accountability Movement Africa. Dr. Norgbey, you have the closing thought on this one. Where do we go from here? You will keep your fingers crossed and wait, or maybe send a reminder when the time elapses. But beyond that, what more is there?
Well, until we get those information, until we get there, we don't know what exactly will happen. But that is me, as I said. We'll send, if we don't get the response, we'll send a reminder. If we don't send a reminder, then we pick it up from there.
Are you planning to make a statement in Parliament relative to this issue?
No, not at all. It hasn't come to that yet as we speak. We are passing through the normal route, and probably after that fails, then we will see what to do. Because this is not about Parliament, and this is about the whole country.
Dr. Ernest Norgbey, I thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. We're grateful.
Thank you, my brother.
Great, and that's Dr. Ernest Norgbey. He's the man who wrote the RTI request to the Office of the Chief Justice. He's also Member of Parliament for the Ashaiman constituency. It's 22 minutes after 9 here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
The big conversation on 3FM Sunrise.
So what happens if the Chief Justice decides not to play ball by not responding in the manner in which Ernest Norgbey wants? Ernest Norgbey is asking for three things. He's asking for the petition, the source documents of the petition. He's asking for the proceedings of the meetings that arrived at the conclusion that there's no prima facie. He's also asking for the report that was transmitted to the president relative to this matter after the 7 petitions were forwarded to him. What happens, Zixus?
The starting point should be that the petition is actually, if you realize, the member of parliament himself keeps saying, I petition the Chief Justice, I petition the Chief Justice. Now, by the Right to Information law, every public institution has designated what they call the RTI desk, or desk officer, or officer. So all RTI requests to public institutions go directly to these desk officers. It is the duty of the desk officer to go through the requests that come before, look at what the law says. This information, is it information that can be made public? If yes, at what cost? Who is to bear the cost? After all of that is satisfied, then the RTI officer will release the information. If the RTI officer at the public institution realizes that the piece of information requested is not for public consumption, particularly coming under the exemptions as provided for by the RTI law, then that officer will write to the person requesting the information saying or stating the reasons why that request cannot be met. We have received your petition, unfortunately, being captured under the exempt clause, we are unable to provide you this information. Simple, straightforward letter. But if, and all of this must happen within 14 days, and as nobody has presented, so within 14 days, if he doesn't hear anything from whether they are honoring it, the officer must respond. Whether they are not honoring it, the officer must respond. If he doesn't hear, he says he's going to serve a reminder, but he actually doesn't have to serve a reminder. Then he activates, there's a 3-step process that you activate. The first one is an internal review. So you first write to the head of the institution. So this is where the CJ will come in. So as we speak, per the law, that request is sitting with an officer at the Chief Justice's Secretariat or the Judicial Service. Let's put it that way. If he doesn't get the response within the stipulated time, he then activates the internal review process. And this is where he writes directly to the Chief Justice. In the making of the law, that argument came up, and I was privileged to sit in some of the conferences, that before a desk officer releases information to you, the desk officer may have already consulted the head of the institution. So why would you then have to activate the head of the institution again? After all, he or she may already have been in the known on this. So for instance, desk officer at Judicial Service would have prompted CJ's Secretariat, or there's this request asking for this. Secretariat will consult CJ. CJ will say, don't release it for 1, 2, 3 reasons. Then they write to him, say, for 1, 2, 3 reasons, we cannot give you this information. Then in activating the internal review process, then that letter or petition goes straight to the CJ again. Then the CJ is most likely going to give you the same reasons that the desk officer gave you. That for 1, 2, 3 reasons, we cannot give you the information that you have requested for. And this will also happen, the application to the CJ must happen within 30 days, 30 days upon receipt of the communication from the officer. And the CJ himself will have 15 days within which to respond. If the CJ responds and says, Honorable Member, we cannot give you this information, and the Honorable Member is dissatisfied, or they don't even mind him at all, then the next level he can activate will be an appeal to the RTI Commission. The RTI Commission sits at the top, ensuring that public institutions do the work they are supposed to do, provide the information that they are supposed to provide, so that they don't hide behind national security, public interest, and all of those things to deny people information. So when you apply to the head of the institution, you are not satisfied with the information you get, then you activate the RTI Commission to say that, look, I applied to this institution, Judicial Service, asking for this. They have not given me the information, or the information they gave me is not satisfactory. I'm appealing to you to intervene so that I get the information that I am asking for. The commission will also sit down, look into it, and then decide to agree with the institution or agree with you. Let's say you are not satisfied with what they also have asked for, then you go to court. In this country, we always say if you are not satisfied, go to court. So that will be the third level. The first level is to activate an internal review, in which case that appeal or application is going straight to the head of the institution, in this case, the CJ. The second level, if you are not satisfied, would be to appeal to the RCI Commission, which is outside of the particular public institution that is being requested in this instance. If you are still not satisfied with the RTI Commission, then the High Court is there to hear you on what you are asking for.
Okay. So I'm looking at Section 4 and 5 of the RTI Act 2019, Act 989, and it talks about information that is exempt from being put out there. In fact, Section 4 talks about provision of guidelines for manual. The Right to Information Commission shall, in consultation with the minister, issue guidelines for the preparation under Section 3 of the manual by a public institution. Section 5, information for the president or the vice president. In this case, the Chief Justice's response relative to the 7 petitions that were presented to him or referred to him from the Office of the President after receiving it from the members of the public would be sent to the President. Now, one says, A says, where the information is exempt from disclosure, where the information A is prepared for submission or has been submitted to the President or Vice President for consideration, or B contains matters the disclosure of which would reveal information concerning opinion, advice, deliberation, recommendation, minutes, or consultation made or given to the President or the Vice President, and is likely to undermine the deliberative process on the part of the President or Vice President, or prejudice national security, and 2, information which contains factual or statistical data is not exempt from information. So that's what it says. Now, this is being submitted to the President of the Republic. If you read the text of this,
It suggests
that the information that is to be prepared for the submission or has been submitted to the President or Vice President for consideration, or B, contains matter the disclosure of which would reveal information concerning opinion, advice, deliberation, recommendation, minutes or consultation made or given to the President or the Vice President is likely to undermine deliberative process.
Okay.
So this report has been submitted now. It either prepared for submission or has been submitted. That's where I'm looking at now.
Okay. So this is where we will now activate the constitutional provision on the role the Chief Justice plays in all of these petitions when they come up. The Chief Justice receives the petition. In this particular case, determines whether there's a prima facie case to be answered. If there is, then he goes ahead to constitute a committee that will look into it. If there is none, then he dismisses it, as is happened in this particular case. So the CJ has dismissed it. That truncates the whole process. And the protection of privileged communication under this particular provision, the argument has also been made that at the termination of, and Mawina made that point at the beginning of this conversation, that at the termination of all of these deliberations, all of the actions that need to be taken, and they have been taken, once all is said and done, then the information can be released.
Yes.
So the one of two things that can happen here will be the CJ to say that, well, I prepared this for transmission to the President. I have transmitted to the President. It is no longer within my purview, or it is no longer my decision to release that information to you. In which case he will say, under the RTI law, he will say that he is the wrong authority or public institution to be requested. Then Mr. Norgbey, Dr. Norgbey would then have to re-petition to whichever authority or institution would be the appropriate institution. In this case,
will be the
presidency. The other decision that the CJ can also take in line with the Constitution would be that, well, the processes have been gone through. That protection that was given to the communication whilst we went through this process is terminated, and so here is the information. It is now deemed to be public, worthy of public consumption, and so let us release it to the public, and then he will release. So let's see the outcome, what will come from the office of the Chief Justice. Then we will see whether he is taking responsibility to say that, well, this was within my domain and we are done with it, so here is your information, collect it. I don't want to have anything to do with this again. Or he would say that, in line with subsection A, as you have read, I transmitted, and the President, but in this case, the President didn't have to take any decision in this matter.
That's an important aspect of it. That's why I listening to you, I was thinking, well, these are possible options like you mentioned, but I don't see how that first option could be a means for him. Because when you look at the entire process for the removal, the President is but a conveyor belt. He plays no role, has nothing to do with whether or not a determination is reached if you should be removed. Per the Constitution.
And the subsection itself says that for the President's consideration, in this case, there will be no consideration.
Exactly. So for the petition, the President is like, oh, we can't take it to the Chief Justice direct. So you take it through this person. That's all. That's the entire role the President plays in the process. That's why I don't see how the CJ can make an argument per this RTR request and say that, oh, I have finished the work and so it is with the president and so go to it. No, you are the one who is supposed to make the decision and arrive at a conclusion as to whether or not petitions that are coming for the removal of justices of the Supreme Court and some Article 71 office holders, you are the final arbiter in terms of if, in fact, the committee which will be set up by the CJ.
The CJ,
Right.
yes.
So you are the beginning and the end.
But then
everything.
the documents that Dr. Ernest Norgbey is requesting for, he's requesting for the source documents. He's requesting
That's the
for
petition itself.
the petition. Is requesting for the meetings, the minutes of the meeting, if you will, because there was no committee. And then he's now requesting for the full report that was submitted to the president. Now, these petitions were submitted to the office of the president. If at all, what will rest on the laps of the Chief Justice would be the minutes of the meeting that he had, and whoever he had a meeting with, or of course he would have had a meeting with himself, literally, because he would be looking at it on his own. So it's not been out demanding for his personal notes, and then subsequently the full report that he presented to the president to say that I did not see any question worthy of answering by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the two deputies, which would then be, in simple terms, the prima facie. Is that what Mr. Norgbey is asking for?
I want to believe it will be the report or the letter which he submitted to the president, not the one pager from which we've read excerpt. I say this because, you know, the first petition under President Akufo-Addo for the removal of the CJ, they took the pointers of the petitioner and responded to it in arriving at the decision that there was no prima facie evidence to remove Madam Tokuno at the first time. So on the first issue where the point was raised, the Council of State, along with the President, argued why they believe there was no prima facie evidence to proceed. It is my suspicion that will be what Mr. Norgbey is looking for, because for every pointer in the petition, there must be a decision or a reasoning why it doesn't meet the threshold that the CJ has set. And even now, there's even a conversation which is being, a question which is being asked, that the CJ appears to have a threshold where the petitions, a threshold which must be met before you can proceed to setting up of a committee. Has that threshold been in existence in the case of Charlotte Osei? Was that the threshold that was used for CJ Tokono? Was that the threshold that was used for one other Chief Justice I think that one was withdrawn, right?
Yes.
Against Justice Kulendi, that was withdrawn subsequently. Yes. So, but there are even questions now as to...
No, it was dismissed, Anna.
No, I think it was
withdrawn or dismissed?
It was dismissed. Yes, it was dismissed. So again, was that threshold in existence? Was it the same threshold which was used, which found some people guilty and then they proceeded not guilty? They found basis to enter into the formation or the setting up of a committee, is all the question which is being asked. But on the face of it, what are the reasons why you say this did not meet the threshold? So every petition will have a number of pointers. Take them one by one. Explain to us why they do not meet the threshold, I suspect, is what Dr. Norgbey is looking for.
It's 39 minutes after 9 here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're in Ghana month. We'll take a quick break. When we return from the break, let's go.
In the silence, something was growing. The journey continues. The calm before the storm. You can't mute a force that was born to speak. You can't bury rhythm, it rewrites itself. Louder. Every signal lost finds its way back to the source. This is not a comeback, it's a recalibration. This is the takeover. This is Trigmatic on 3FM Drive. Driving you home with good vibes, good conversations, and the freshest hits.